Michael, how are you recovering from the disappointment of not being named manager of the month?
Yeah, I've got over it. To be honest, I wasn't really aware that I had been nominated, to be honest. So, yeah, look, it wasn't something that I give any real, I suppose, time to. Obviously, nice to be nominated, but equally, the fact that I'm sure it went to a very worthy candidate.
I think that the point I was trying to make in the joking manner
Yeah.
is that obviously things have improved for you, to, as you've said, to be considered for that. And just before the Derby match, I was about to say to you, do you think we've turned the corner?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'll change that and say, do you think the Derby game was just a blip?
Well, we have to ensure that it is. That's time will tell on that. But yeah, I think if you look at our form, certainly over the last period, I think it's been consistent with the better teams in the league. That's where we're aiming to be. But equally, I think the key to the nature of this league, and we see with results every week that teams possibly who are not expected to beat other teams do so, and so what we have to make sure is that we don't get into a little slump where suddenly one defeat leads to another and leads to another. And that's, I think, the most important thing in the championship is that you don't let you don't get into that type of scenario where it affects confidence, affects morale, and suddenly then each game becomes a little bit more difficult. So we have the chance, obviously, with the game tomorrow, to put last week behind us. I did think the game was 4-0 was a little bit harsh on us given the nature of the game, but equally, we have the Derby showed their quality at the key moments in the game as well. But the boys have been good. They've trained well this week, and we obviously aim to put things right tomorrow.
You said after the game, straight after the game, that there were lots of things you weren't happy with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you did agree that it wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
4-goal beating game.
Yeah.
Have you been happy with the way the players have responded to those things you felt were wrong last week?
Yeah, this is a good group. The players are very responsive. They obviously they want to do well. A lot of them haven't been at the club that long either, so they're here. They want to from a selfish point of view, they want to do well, but equally they want the club to progress as well. For a lot of the players, I think this is coming to Stoke has been a big move in their career as well, and equally so. In that scenario, it is important for the player that it's a positive experience. So as I say, as a group to work with, they're no problem at all. We are well aware of the areas that I think we were short in the game against Derby. We felt at times we were a little bit off the pace of the game. The natures of the goals were certainly preventable. You always look at the opposition goals and feel they're preventable, but certainly I think at times maybe we made a few poor decisions defensively as well. And this week the key was to make sure that the training was upbeat, that the players had moved on from that, and get them in the right frame of mind to obviously play tomorrow.
We were at 1 point 7 points away from the problem, and now we're just 2 points away. That probably affects fans more than it does players, because you'll obviously be looking, well, I'd like to think you'd be looking up the table rather than down. But the fact that the next 3 of the next 4 games are at home should be a bonus to us, shouldn't it?
Yeah, hopefully that's the case. We have, I think, since coming in, we've had 1 defeat here against Blackburn, so the home form has been good, which is positive. I think that it's very important that there's that positivity, as we spoke about, between the fans and the team, and the team have to generate that in terms of their performances and the type of the intensity of their play, the work rate in the team as well, and the fans will obviously respond to that. So it's a two-way thing. But equally, as I say, we're pleased with the home form. Disappointed to lose. The game we did lose was right at the end, and trying to win the game as well. We went all out to try and win that game. So yeah, the 3 games being at home gives us an opportunity to try and put like a nice, to start another little consistent run of form, and that's what we have to aim to do. I think the gap closing between the 7 points and the 2 points, as you rightly say, combination of 2 things. In that period we've only lost 1 game, and I think it's Wigan have obviously had 2 very positive results, beating Sheffield Wednesday, and then I think obviously winning away at Leeds. So again, that shows you the nature of the league, and I suppose what it tells me is that you can't really rely on anyone else. You have to focus on yourself, and we have to just be mindful that it's down to ourselves to get ourselves out of this situation. And whilst you're always keeping an eye on results elsewhere, the most important thing is to take care of obviously the next game, and as I say, that's Charlton tomorrow.
Yeah, because obviously it's in our own hands if we continue to win, but I know you always say you can't comment on things that have happened before, but the fans will be mindful that when we played at Charlton earlier in the season, we were by far the better team for the most part, and then they had 3 shots and scored 3 goals. Yeah. So you'll know how good the team is and what strengths and weaknesses they have. But they'll have maybe a couple of new players that won't have worked in the team for them before. What do you know about Charlton?
Well, I saw them. I actually had the chance to see them live, which is not that common. Obviously, when we played West Bromwich Albion on the Monday night, I was able to go and see Preston play or Charlton play rather, at Preston on the Saturday. They lost the game 2-1, but they started the game very well. They went 1-0 ahead. So, the threats of Taylor, Andre Green, they've got some good players. They play with basically a 3-5-2 system, and they've been pretty consistent in utilising that system. So, I think they're in a similar situation to ourselves. They're desperate for points. They've possibly had up until the Barnsley game and the 2-1 win, they were in one of those difficult runs that teams tend to get into. 3 points will give them confidence coming here. And we have to be mindful, obviously, that having beat us earlier in the season, that we make sure that we do everything to reverse that tomorrow.
And how are we injury-wise? Is Tyrese looking likely to be able to play?
Tyrese is fit, yeah. The only injury issues we have are Ryan Shawcross is still not available, and Stephen Ward is still not available, but otherwise everyone else is fit and well.
Without going on the negative side, there was a lot of chat at the end of the transfer window about Bruno Martins Indi maybe leaving. A lot of people also wondered whether he was fit to play that night, but again, you haven't been here for these other times. Bruno's always come across, even when there's been talk about him leaving, as being very professional on the pitch. Is he available for selection? Yeah,
Bruno's fine. There was the possibility of him leaving before the window. It didn't come to fruition. It wasn't right for the club, and it wasn't right for Bruno. So that was the most important thing. I think it was a very difficult scenario for everyone, because to have to play a game when the transfer window was closing on the same day made life very difficult. And it wasn't a factor in the result, but it just meant that I think players are always a little bit on edge as well. There's a lot of speculation. There's, I think, a lot of deals that are almost, agents are trying to create deals as to generate sort of interest in players as well, and that makes life difficult. So players are probably dealing with a lot of rumour and speculation as well. But Bruno's fine. As I say, we came out of the window, I think, in the place where we wanted it to be. There was 1 or 2 things we were trying to do ourselves, but didn't come to fruition. We've brought 3 players in that period of time. I think 6-7 players have gone out. And that's given us what we want, a more streamlined squad, and a squad hungry to obviously improve the situation at the club.
You brought in James Chesters. A lot of people wondered why you've done that. You said it was obviously to strengthen the back four. Where does that mean for somebody like Nathan Collins? Will he learn from the experience of Chesters? Yeah,
I think so. And obviously, we've had 3 centre backs, and Nathan's a very young player. There's not many centre backs playing at this level at his age, if any. He's a player with huge potential. He's been around the first team quite a bit, obviously in the 18 on a consistent basis as well. He's come off the bench in certain games. But I think with Ryan's situation as well, and it was important to get an experienced player in as well, and one that has played not only in the Premier League for the majority of his career, but equally has played at the top end of the Championship and for a big club as well. And the biggest thing for me was having met James, that he was so keen to come, and that was a big factor in it. It's a club that he would like to play for. He saw this as even though it's on a short-term basis, as the next step of his career, and something that could obviously develop into a permanent situation as well. And he settled in extremely well. I think all of the centre backs will benefit from playing, you know, and training alongside James, given the experience he has, and obviously given the quality that he has as well.
And on the other side of the coin, you brought in a very young player in Tashan,
Mm-hmm.
who will probably, you'll hope to get into the squad. What have you found about him this week?
He's fitted in very well. I think he's demonstrated it already. It's pretty evident the quality that he has. You're right, you know, when you take players from big clubs and Premier League clubs, there is I suppose a period of adjustment for those players, adapting to the training. The style of football is different from under 23 football at Premier League level. But again, like Tashan had the option to stay at Tottenham long term. There was a long term contract on the table for him there. But he saw this as the next step of his career, so we're very pleased to get him. There was a lot of interest in him, and we believe that he's a player that, you know, it's not a case of throwing him straight in, but we do believe that Tashan can certainly affect the team going forward. And you know, we want young players who are assets to be in the building, to be part of the squad, and you know, we have, I think, more players now of that profile in terms of where we are as a squad, and I think that's what the squad was badly in need of.
Finally, from me, you've got players like Mamadou who've been around on the periphery of the squad. It's quite obvious that we lack pace at certain times, and you play your preferred role. How far away is he from maybe getting in the first team, and how difficult is it for you to motivate him? Because he seems like, again, a model pro.
Mam's very easy to deal with. You know, he's been, as you rightly say, he's been here a long time. He's out of contract at the end of the season as well, and I suppose it's just a case of, you know, who's ahead of him, and I think Tyrese coming in and doing what Tyrese has done has possibly made it a little bit more difficult for all of the strikers, because he's had a real impact since he came into the team. But Mam's easy to manage, easy to deal with. He trains with the squad on a daily basis, and like I suppose all the players, it's how they train and how they perform. You know, gives me something to think about. What I have been pleased with Mam is, you know, he wanted to play in the 23s, for example, on Monday night. That was his decision. He wanted to a game under his belt. So, as I say, you know, delighted with his attitude. He's an excellent professional, and he's very much part of the squad.
Thank you.
Tomorrow you'll have been in the job 3 months to the day, with a very punishing 16 games in that period. Has it been as punishing as it sounds?
Yeah, definitely has. It certainly feels like that. Yeah, look, it's been challenging, because in that period of time as well, you're dealing with the transfer windows we spoke about. You're dealing with, you know, a big squad of players, quite a number of players who were unhappy at the club and saw their future elsewhere. And whilst dealing with all of that, you're trying to prepare for games, and on many occasions, you know, those games are coming every 3-4 days, so that makes it difficult. It would be nice just to be able to concentrate on the preparation of the team, but equally we've not had that time because of the number of games to really have a long period of preparation with the team that you would get obviously in a pre-season, and work with the players on that basis. We've had to learn about the squad that we inherited, whilst trying to prepare for games, and that's difficult. It's difficult for the players as well, because it's more difficult probably for the players who are out of the team, because they want the opportunity to play, but equally as the games come round, and we tried to get consistency into the team in terms of selection, consistency into the team in terms of the system that we played as well. So it has been very challenging, but I think the players should be commended. They've been good to work with. I think we've certainly seen an improvement in results in that period of time, but equally we know that we're still a long way from that comfort level that we know that in terms of making sure that we stay in this division, and that has obviously been the priority since day one, and remains the priority now.
You said before the transfer window and during the transfer window that you really didn't want to just sign squad players. You wanted to sign players who were going to be starting in the starting 11. How soon will that be for these new players?
I think ideally, yes, you would like to sign players that would improve your team, but you have to be able to sign them first, and you know that's a big challenge in this window. And you know, some of the players that we tried to sign, we weren't successful with that on a loan basis. The players made or chose other options that were available to them. So yeah, look, the important thing for me was to get the right type of player in the club, and what we did feel with the players that we brought in would be they were suitable replacements for the players that were leaving. For example, we've brought 2 young midfield players in, but 3 midfield players have left. 3 midfield players who made it quite clear that they didn't see their future at this club, and cost the club quite a lot of money in terms of what we acquired them for, and obviously in terms of salary as well. So it was important that we had to do things that improved the squad as well. Ideally you would love to be able to sign 3 players that would come straight into your team, but I don't think there's many clubs that will do that, and the players, as I say, that we possibly felt could do that made other options. But the most important thing is that we have competition for places within the squad. Believe that Jordan's very close to being ready to play. Tashan will be a little bit longer, and James is ready to play now. You know, there's no questions about that. So are we a stronger team as a result of the players we brought in? I think we are, and we are because as a whole the squad is more streamlined, and it is a much I think happier squad to work with.